Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Big 12 podcast, here now with Robbie Triano once again. Time to pick some games. We'll preview the entire slate of the Big 12 schedule this weekend coming up next.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so the conference realignment talk, all the TV stuff, that'll keep going on. We'll keep talking about that. Might be a weekly thing here, Robbie, on the show. But it's time to pick some games. It's time to make some predictions. It's time to look at the schedule for the Big 12. And I think the best way to do it is we'll need to group together the games that are most competitive. We'll do those first. And then, I mean, really what it is the Friday night, the Thursday night games could be competitive. And then the rest of the weekend, I'm sure one in there that could be, but really like week 2 is the Big 12's big week. I mean, you guys, I said this yesterday, but go and look at the Big 12 week 2 schedule. Absolutely stacked. Missouri, Kansas State, Texas, Alabama on there. Iowa State, Iowa is on there. Texas Tech plays Houston next week. Baylor, BYU is next week. Just the whole first conference game, West Virginia versus Kansas is next week. So a whole lot of interesting games. This week, though, we must start in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We will start with the backyard brawl. It is back. Finally, these two rivals will once again meet. West Virginia and Pitt. A whole lot on the line here for both. Pitt trying to make sure they were not a one-hit wonder. West Virginia here, a lot of heat on Neil Brown. He's the favorite right now over at Bet Online to be the first coach fired in the Big 12, minus 110. A pretty heavy favorite in that category. Also speaks to a lot of the job security elsewhere in the league and a lot of new coaches. But still, this is really important. And when you think about this game, Robbie, I mean, what a way to start off the Big 12 football season. And also kind of indicative of the fact that West Virginia is like just one of the odd men in the Big 12 conference, but there are going to be a few more of those as we kind of go along.
Yeah, in a weak Big 12 slate, this game kind of shines. And honestly, I was thinking about the PR this has been for West Virginia. Yeah. Every time you hear someone talking about this game, they're like, you know what? We should have these rivalry games back again. So that is good for them that they are kind of in charge of that. And also, like week 0 is week 0. We got it. Yay, Nebraska, you got dunked on. But week 1, for this to be the premier game to like basically kick off the season, that is great PR for West Virginia. So I love that. Do I like them in this game? No, I do not like them in this game, even though let's just talk about West Virginia for a second.
Yeah.
A lot of new things going on there. Obviously, Graham Harrell, the new OC, and then you have JT Daniels as the quarterback. That's going to be intriguing, but it makes me think about Neil Brown. Like that offense has been supposedly his strength, and that has not been a strength at all. In his entire tenure, it's been the defense. So that is by far the most intriguing thing about this team. And the fact that Pittsburgh just coming off of an ACC championship game and a championship win, yes, they lose a lot of key pieces and Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison, but this is going to be an incredible game. But West Virginia is kind of in that spot right now where they kind of need to earn the respect from us as Big 12 fans and as a whole. And Neil Brown needs this win more than anything, because if you were to look at his tenure, what game can you really say, you know what? That was a huge game that he won. They don't really exist. So he's won the games they should win, but he has not won a game where, you know what, this shows that we can be a real staple in college football. They've not done that yet.
Yeah, I mean, the Virginia Tech win last year is a big one, but Tech, turns out not being, I mean, that was not a very good Virginia Tech team last year, and they kind of lucked into that one with the way that one went down. I will say this, like, here's what I'll say about the West Virginia schedule is very difficult. They've got some really tough games on there. I want to see them hang in this game and be close in this game. I think if they covered, you'd be really happy. I know Keaton Slovis is taking over at quarterback. I know, it's so it's new for them, but really, like, this Pitt team is, in my opinion, a lot better than West Virginia. I think there's a chance they're a lot better than West Virginia. That defensive line for Pitt is awesome with Kalijah Cansey, Baldonado, Alexander. I mean, it's a really good, strong front. It's one of the best in the country. And we think West Virginia's offensive line could be good. Yeah, they're returning a lot. But we heard yesterday, from Chris Anderson, or who was on yesterday, Mike Kazazza yesterday, that they're going to be, moving some guys around, be shaking some things up just a little bit. And we're not 100% sure how good the running game is going to be. We've heard some good things about Tony Mathis Jr. Sure, but they're going to need that running game to be good. And I kind of take Pitt's offensive line against West Virginia's defensive line. I know West Virginia's defensive line could be really good, but Pitt is returning all 5 starters on the offensive line. I think Pitt wins this game at the line of scrimmage. I really do. I think their offensive and defensive lines can control this game. And it's a 7.5-point spread, Robbie. I'm going to go with the Pitt Panthers to cover and what I hope is a pretty competitive game. Not saying West Virginia is awful, but this Pitt team, I mean, there's some pretty hefty expectations of them this year. They think they're going to contend with Miami for that Coastal Division.
So I want to give you a stat, and I want to let you know, will this sway your opinion? Because I saw it. I didn't know if it was legitimate, but it was a stat. And Vivid Seats said that 75% of the tickets that they sold, or 75% of the crowd, will be West Virginia fans. It's very peculiar. I don't know how legitimate it is because the game will be played in Pittsburgh. But I that is amazing that West Virginia fans are this passionate, even though that their team is kind of, I wouldn't say bad, but they have been average. I would consider West Virginia the definition of average over the past couple of years with Neil Brown. So this is just a game where it's huge. We know the rivalry aspect of it, but none of these players have any idea what this rivalry means. This hasn't been played since 2011, and it hasn't meant anything in about 15 years. So this is a game where I don't know if that much is going to weigh into it. Yes, they're going to have their coach be like, it's a rivalry game. But what are we? So this will be the tone setter. Yeah, exactly. Like what? Why do we hate them? Right. But when it comes to the tenure of Neil Brown, I don't think this is a game where he will be fired because of it. I don't think he's going to be fired this year at all. But it's a game where, if you said it perfectly, if West Virginia loses by 2 touchdowns, fans are going to be like, what are we doing? It's not going to put pressure where the hot seat gets so hot, because I think like Neil Brown is doing things the right way. But they have to at least show, you know what? You can trust me to be your head coach. I can do this. So they need a good showing, win or loss.
They've got such a, I mean, think about all these, these tough games they have at Pitt, at Virginia Tech on a Thursday night, at Texas, Baylor at home, at Texas Tech's going to be difficult. At Iowa State's really difficult place to play. At Oklahoma State, you get OU and Kansas State at home, but almost you'd rather have the easier games at home so you can kind of make sure you get the layups in.
Where do you put the West Virginia offense this year, though? Sorry to cut all over you, but when you have where do you have JT Daniels, you have Tony Mathis, you have Sam James, and you have Bryce Ford Wheaton. If you go by those players, where are they a top 5 offense in this league?
No, I mean, well, they could end up being, but why would I? I would not put them there to start off with. Here's the thing, Robbie. It's like, what have these guys as a collection have shown me? I like Bryce Ford Wheaton. He's a very good player, but like 42 catches for 572 and 3 scores last year. Sam James had 500 yards and 42 catches and 5 scores last year. Like, okay, they returned 2 guys who combined for 8 touchdowns, right? I think they should be decent weapons, but like, how good are they? Really, how good is this? They had a really good, I mean, Lenny Brown, people forget how good he was last year. I know JT Daniels is supposed to be better, but like, the guy doesn't play a ton. And I'm not 100% sold on everything around him. Their defense doesn't return that many guys. I know they've hit the portal pretty hard, but you're going to have all those guys mesh together. You asked about the offense, though. So, look, the offensive line, having all those guys back, that's good. That's positive. I don't know if I really trust those skill position guys. I know their names. I've watched them play, but are they skill position? Are they good enough to be a top half offense? I mean, out of those back teams, like, I'd actually expect the Texas Tech offense to be a bit better than West Virginia's. Chance that GCU's offense, I don't think it will be, but it could be better. And then you think about a lot of those teams at the top might have a better offense. So there's just too many question marks, and especially as it pertains to this game, too many question marks for going up against this defense that I think this Pitt defense returning like eight starters. Too many questions in that category for me to go with West Virginia here. So that's why I'm on Pitt.
I agree with you for this, but when it comes to the West Virginia offense, like, they just haven't had good quarterback play under Neil Brown.
No, they haven't
at all. Like, they've had to rely on Jared Dagey, and that's just like an Austin Kendall, and that's just not That's just not the talent you need to have. And for JT Daniels, I've watched a lot of his highlights for this year. I mean, he is a vertical threat. Like, he has such a strong arm. So with Graham Harrell and that, I think
he's got to play though. He's got to play. That's a big question.
If he's hurt, this is a completely different conversation, just because we don't know the Will Crowder or Jarrett Green. We don't know exactly.
The thing is, can we bank on him playing 12 games? He hadn't done it yet, right?
I don't think you could do that with any quarterback, really. Besides, Spencer Sanders has been out, I believe, one game every year too, and we consider him like the most consistent quarterback in the league.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, if he is healthy, I think West Virginia has the potential to be a top 5 offense.
So, who are you going with this game?
I'm going with Pitt to win, and screw it. I'm going to take West Virginia to cover, Pitt to win. I'm going to take West Virginia.
I like that one. I like that. We'll move on now. And look, once again, 7.5 means it could be a close game. Sure, it could be. Right, a late score for me, in my opinion, could put them over the top there. Next game we're looking at. This one is flying under the radar. Central Michigan at Oklahoma State. This line is 20.5. Let me see what it is officially on this. 22 now with our friends at BetOnline and betonline.net.
Wow.
I don't like that. Robbie, the last 4, I've said this 3 times this week, the last 4 non-conference regular season games that Oklahoma State has played have all been single-digit contests. Boise, Tulsa twice, Mo State. Now, say Spencer Sanders was injured for a couple of those, I believe. That would be correct. But also, like, this team is notoriously and look, Spencer Sanders is guilty of this too, even when he plays. They're slow starters. Also, I have to mention this too. This Central Michigan team returns their quarterback, Daniel Richardson, who is just a sophomore, threw for 24 touchdowns last year, just to 6 interceptions, and threw over 2,600 yards. They return running back Lou Nichols III. Another guy's a sophomore. He rushed for over 1,800 yards last year and also rushed for 16 touchdowns, rather. Their leading receiver, Dallas Dixon, he had over 700 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. Now, their defense, pretty spotty. Probably not going to be very good. I don't think, at least. But this team likes to run the football and does have a pretty consistent passing game. My concern here is, could they play a little bit of keep away? Now, the good news is the strength of this Oklahoma State defense is the defensive line. But, I think this could be a 1-score game in the third quarter, and we're talking about or a 10-point game in the third quarter. If you and I are talking about covering a 22-point spread, that's 3 touchdowns and a little bit extra here. For a team in Central Michigan that last year they went 9-4 and returned a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver who were all, the leading guys at those positions. So I think this game could be a bit more competitive. And I think we're getting that number at 22 because Oklahoma State is a top 15 team. I'm not really sure they are. I really have a lot of doubts about this team. They could be good. But top 15 is a different story, in my opinion.
Yeah, the spread is, it's pretty large. So I would not gamble on this game. I would not do that just because I feel like this is a coin flip type of game for them. But Oklahoma State has started the season a little bit slow sometimes. We see that with Tulsa. And obviously, I think there's a lot of change on this team. Do I trust this offensive line? No. They lose Josh Sills. They lose some pieces. And I think once you saw Spencer Sanders get, hurried or got pressure on him, he crumbled. And I don't think that is something you can trust about this team. The defense, the defensive line, I have them and Baylor as my top 2 in the league. So with an offensive line from the MAC, good luck, Central Michigan. We talked about that quarterback. I haven't seen what he's faced against real competition. So I trust Oklahoma State to handle things there. The question marks I have, they lose Devin Harper. They lose Malcolm Rodriguez. That is the thing I'm looking forward to in this game, is seeing what actual pieces they have back there that they are replacing. So, and obviously Derek Mason, the new defensive coordinator, and also, who is this running back going to be for Oklahoma State? Because you lose Jalen Warren. I don't know who exactly these pieces are. You lose Tay Martin. This offense is such a what am I going to see type of thing. So I believe they're going to not dominate Central Michigan, but I think they're going to win comfortably this game. But the thing I'm looking forward and what I'm watching, who is playing linebacker, who is in their secondary, and who are these weapons that we can rely on the league. I kind of have a good grasp on Spencer Sanders. I don't think he's going to be worse, but I don't know how much better he is going to be. So I have a grasp on him.
I will say this. I'd like to see them get good field position. I think that's big. Win the field position battle. Because remember that game against Baylor? That was the one big thing for them, those slow grinded out games. And winning that field position battle. I want to see them hit some explosive plays. I felt like we didn't see I'm not sure how much of that. I'm actually looking right now at explosiveness. How many explosiveness? They were 81st in the advanced metrics and explosiveness last year. Not a super explosive offense. No. Now they were 5th on defense in allowing explosive plays. That plays into this field position thing. So I'd like to see them hit some big plays in this game. I'm going to take the Chippewas plus 22 just because the early season track record tells me that it's going to be more of a slow burn for Oklahoma State. But look, maybe they prove me wrong, hit some massive explosive plays. Maybe this is a little bit different, but I think you mentioned the Tay Martin thing. That's a huge loss. That was Spencer Sanders' favorite target last year. The guy, I think, caught 10 touchdowns last season. So, and I mean, their chemistry was fantastic. So I'm with you on I've got a lot of questions, but usually you can answer some questions against a team in Central Michigan's not a great defense. They're returning only 3 guys on defense. I think, though, they do have a little bit of offensive quality. So I'm going to say I'll take 22 points, and I'll take Central Michigan, but I don't think the game ends up being very close.
I'm going to have Oklahoma State covering. When we talk about who's the most physical team in the Big 12, I think it's them, Baylor, and what's going to be Oklahoma, just because I think that is their mantra with Brett Venables. We want to be physical. That is what they are preaching there, so I just assume that's going to happen. And I think with a team like Central Michigan, yes, they are a team that you can count on in the MAC. I mean, I watched Central Michigan my whole life growing up just because it's 2 hours away from me.
What you do.
Yeah, and that's a program I'd never worry about if they were playing Michigan State. I'm like, yes, easy W. But this is, I just think by the end of the start of the fourth quarter, I think Central Michigan's going to be worn out just because we see what Mike Gundy does to this team in practice. He preaches just hit each other. They hit all year round.
They practice. They scrimmage a lot.
So I'm going to say Oklahoma State wears them out. Give me the 22 points for them.
Yeah, that's it definitely could go out that way. Actually, and talking to you, I don't feel as good, but I'm still okay with where I'm at. All right, this is one of those games that's we're not going to do too deep dive on Tennessee Tech, KU, Robbie. This is the game you have to win. You got to beat Tennessee Tech. I think the line was what? Let me double check here. It was around 30 is what it. Yeah, they don't even have it here. So we only have I saw it 31 somewhere though. Kansas minus 30 against Tennessee Tech. Are we going to take them to cover 30 against anybody? I think they'll cover it. Actually, I think that their offense is just going to be mad explosive this year. Well, I think this game they'll have a chance to be very explosive.
Yeah, Kansas needs a win. They need 2.5 over that. I need 3 wins from them.
It's the game you have to win.
Yeah, so this has to be a W. Last year they opened the season against South Dakota, the first game in Lance Leipold's era. They won 17-14. They can't do that. They need to be better than. We'll say
full year of practice, though, full offseason of practice for Lance Leipold, which is good.
Yeah, and I trust him. I don't think they're going to be a team that is ever going to compete for a Big 12 title in the next 5 years. If Lance Leipold does that, amazing. But also another thing too. Everyone announced the starting quarterback. Are we just assuming it's Jalen Daniels? He came to Big 12 Media Days.
I believe
Jason Bean played a lot last year. Is that just I
believe they already said Jalen Daniels. I think that's
okay. So I didn't see that announced or anything. That this is a team that obviously we don't talk about very much because we don't see them as a threat. And the only time to talk about them is when they're doing something. But yeah, I think Kansas State has some of the best running backs in the whole league. Jalen Daniels proved his worth against Texas, but this is going to be an easy win, and real things start to happen when they play West Virginia in the second week of the season.
All right. So we're not going to pick spread in that game. TCU Colorado is the other really interesting game of the weekend. This Colorado team, they're not going to be good, it sounds like, from what I've been reading and what I can surmise. I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on Buffs football, but TCU, Robbie, has, I want to lay the 10.5 here. but they're not making me feel confident. It was 10.5. It's ballooned up now to, I believe, this number now, double checking, 13.5. Wow. Almost 2 scores. Look, they should be able to beat they were pretty good last year, I think, in beating inferior competition last season. They beat Cal. It's a close game by 2. They beat Texas Tech by 21. That win against Baylor was crazy, and they beat KU. So look, I think this team is going to go under on the win total, but I do think this is one game that they actually win. And I think it's because Colorado's not very good. I'm not sure it's going to tell us much about TCU though.
Yeah, it's interesting because Sonny Dyke said that they're going to play 3 different quarterbacks this game. 3, not 1, not 2, but 3, because they're just so even. You have to play them. And I think you don't say that if you think Colorado is a really good team. If they're playing Michigan, they're not playing 3 different quarterbacks. They're playing Colorado. So I think they understand that they're going to win this game. Obviously, it's on the road. It's at 10 Eastern. 10 Eastern. Okay. 10 Eastern on a Friday. Okay. Cool. That's great for them. But I am pretty high in TCU this year. I think if you take away Kansas State in the dark horse conversation, because you talk about them all the time, I do think TCU is a dark horse to enter the top 5 in the Big 12. I think they are the team that out of West Virginia, Texas Tech, Iowa State, I think TCU is the best one out there because I love their skill players. I do have trust in Chandler Morris or Max Duggan. Obviously, Max Duggan has been here before, so he doesn't blow you away, but he has been here. I think they have some good pieces on defense and actual confidence. We talked to Travius Hodges-Tomlinson, and he was like, our coaches just didn't put us in success, in places to succeed, which is like, okay, that was a little bold. You didn't have to say that, but you had to light your coaches on fire.
Yeah, look, let's be fair. It was not all Gary Patterson's fault. I mean, he is a good defensive coach, at least.
Right. I think there's so much friction with them and Gary that it was just like time. But no, I'm high on TCU this year. I would take that win over, but I think they are going to cover. I don't trust Colorado a lot this year.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know much about them, but I feel like TCU should be, and this could be a kind of off the races situation. If able to kind of start well, just get them to 2-0, maybe beat SMU and get to 3-0. Mm-hmm. All right, let's break up these Saturday games. SEMO of Southeast Missouri State against Iowa State, Albany Baylor, South Dakota Kansas State, and Murray State Texas Tech. Those are your FCS versus FBS teams, Robbie. I got some crap yesterday. People were like, why aren't you spending time with all the teams? Guys, when your teams play somebody good, all right, I'm not going to talk about your team when you're playing Pocket Square U. I'm just not going to do it, all right? I'm not going to spend a lot of time. So out of Iowa State, Baylor, Kansas State, and Texas Tech, who is the team that you want to see the most from this week? They all sail comfortably. Just kind of your thought on the FCS group of games that we have, the Big 12 versus FCS. Is there anybody you're a little worried about?
I don't think anyone's going to be upset. The thing I'm looking forward to in all these games, though, they all have different quarterbacks.
Right.
Literally every game on Saturday has a new quarterback. Yeah. At Iowa State, Hunter Deckers, Dylan Gabriel, Oklahoma, Blake Shapen, Baylor. Obviously, we've seen part of that, but first time being the full-time starter. Adrian Martinez, Kansas State, Tyler Shuck. We saw him a little bit, but he was hurt last year. Texas Tech, Quinn Ewers, Texas. I mean, what I just want to see is, do they understand a little bit of the offense where they can beat the games that they're supposed to win? So these are teams they're supposed to beat. That is what I'm looking forward to in all these games. And if I were to care about the one the least, it would be number 10 Baylor, just because I know what they are defensively, and I have seen Blake Shapen play in the most important games in Baylor history. So that is a game that I can just trust that'll be okay. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Adrian Martinez does at Kansas State, because I think he's going to be a first team, second team player in this league. I know that is bold for me to say, but I think he is. I think we had just saw at Nebraska how dysfunctional that place is. We saw Casey Thompson, who can be a good quarterback. Obviously, he is not in the upper echelon of college football, but he is a good quarterback, make some bad mistakes. And we just saw how Nebraska was just kind of bad. And I think he is in a spot now with good pieces behind him, kind of elite pieces if you count Deuce Vaughn, and you have a good coaching staff and just a great culture. I think he's going to succeed there. And I know he is mistake prone. I cannot deny that. But I think he is going to be so much better at Kansas State than he is at Nebraska. And then I just need to see who the hell Hunter Deckers is.
Yeah.
That's
this lean, mean, ripping machine we got over there, apparently playing quarterback now, right?
Like everyone wants to talk about how great of an athlete he is and everything.
How skinnier he is.
I've seen him in garbage time. And that is an offense, besides Xavier Hutchinson, I don't know who's going to be good. I don't know. I don't know. So those are the two games. And also Iowa State kind of starts every season slow, but they're playing a team whose initials are SEMO.
SEMO. Well, as a Missouri graduate, very familiar with them. We played them a good deal. Not great. I want to say this about your guy, Adrian Martinez. Robbie, this game, this game horrifies me. This is the one team, because the Central Michigan game, I kind of put aside. That's an actual team that I've seen win games before at a really high level. South Dakota is much more obscure. They're also an FCS team. This is one of those where it doesn't really matter who you play. I don't think all of a sudden Kansas State's going to be ripping off 75, 80 plays, 90, whatever it is, 90 plays in a game, right? I think there's going to be we know they want to go faster. I think there's more of a gradual build to that. So I'm concerned, Robbie, because if old Adrian Martinez shows up and you fumble around, no, just look, take care. I don't want to see you make big plays. Just take care of the ball in this game. All right. Get us off the races. Get us feeling good. That's what I want to see, because if you start messing around and you don't take care of the football in games like this, and defense has an off day or whatever, I don't think they will. But Kansas State games, I'm so accustomed to seeing them being played in such low possession numbers that it feels like every possession is important. And this is one of those where, you just got to be careful. If you turn the ball over 3 or 4 times, it could be in trouble. So just take care of the football. All right. Let's not have an 80-yard drive get stopped at the 10 because you fumbled. All right. That's the only game I'm really concerned about. Maybe I'll be wrong and Murray State pulls off an upset, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying there's the one, because look, when we think about beating the hell out of teams, Kansas State is not the team that just puts the hammer down. It's not who we think of. So that's just what I'm saying there. Just
I do think he can now kind of relax a little bit.
Yes.
Because I felt like he had to do everything in Nebraska, and now he really doesn't.
Well, he also pressed himself too to try and do everything.
Agreed.
That's part of the offense though too. They do put a lot in the quarterback, but you are right. He
kind of needs to know his role.
He did
here.
do everything.
You have Deuce Vaughn. You do not have to be doing everything. Also, just before we move on, Texas Tech fans who are listening, I know you are out there. You need to enjoy this win. Okay, enjoy it, because you may not see another one very soon. You're home for Houston. Houston's good. We have not seen what you can do yet. At NC State, home Texas, at Kansas State, at Oklahoma State. You may win one of those games, and it may be the one you are playing on Saturday. So you better enjoy this game. Enjoy it.
Red Raider Nation not going to love to hear that. They do play Murray State, who I know in the past has had pretty decent teams. Last year it was 6-5 Murray State team, so not sure what we're gonna get. But who they almost lose to last year? Houston Baptist last year. No, Stephen F. Austin. Stephen F. Austin took somebody to the wire last year. Texas Tech, I think it was. I remember that there was a crazy game where they had to pull it out at the end.
Yep.
So there was
28-22 last year.
Yes.
Texas Tech versus Stephen F. Austin.
Yes. So don't do that. Don't do that again. All right. The last two we're going to look at are very low level. Sorry to UTEP and sorry to ULM. Low level FBS games on Saturday. Oklahoma plays UTEP, who looked, oh my God, they did not look good against North Texas last week. And then also Texas plays ULM. I think obviously a lot of the eyes, no pun intended here, will be on Texas because Quinn Ewers, right? I'm thinking just not trying to walk into an eyes of Texas situation.
Yeah.
Here. But yes, the eyes of Texas will be on Quinn Ewers. There you go. Yeah, I like that's the game I'm looking at, right? I know the other one's on Fox, but I really don't care about UTEP and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It's happening, but I don't really care.
If you were to care about a game here, care about the Oklahoma game. Also, it's on Fox. Texas is on Longhorn Network, so you may just have to illegally stream Texas. Don't say to do it, but you may have to. Might have to bleep that. So
nefarious means, we'll say.
Yes. So for Oklahoma, I think this is one of the most intriguing games of the weekend, just because you get to see what the Brent Venables era looks like here. I'm hearing a lot that they are so physical. We know that Dylan Gabriel possibly is the best quarterback in the league. And honestly, like I give Oklahoma a lot of flack. I think that they may have the best wide receiver room in the league. But I'm looking forward to seeing Eric Gray being the lead ball carrier for them, just because we haven't seen that. Because last year they had Kennedy Brooks, and I don't know how much we're going to take away from defense, just because I don't know how many.
I'll tell you what, Robbie,
the talent on UTEP.
What did we see last year in the opener for Oklahoma? This makes me realize now I should not have discounted this game as much as I did. We saw some of the tone setter for the year. They couldn't tackle anybody. Oklahoma could. So maybe just, are we looking for form tackles? We're looking for gang tackling. We're looking for two guys not letting somebody off the hook and finishing plays. Because remember that game? Tulane fumbles into that game. And similar spot here. Like that's kind of what they're looking for. Just take care of the fundamentals. UTEP is nowhere near as good as that the Tulane team was. Right. At least to start the year. Tulane actually ended up having not a very good season, but like that team at the end of the year was feisty. They were pretty good. They were threatening folks in that game. UTEP looks pretty bad, but just make sure you take care of tackling. Like I think that's a big thing. Like defense, will these guys just not be like last year's guys and actually finish playing? It's kind of the question I have.
Yeah, this is like a fundamental type of game, and I feel like they need to get those reps under their belt. And I mean, like they are set up for success. We've talked about their schedule a lot, but you have UTEP, Kent State back to back. Those are easy games, and then you play Nebraska, who just came off one of the most embarrassing opening losses, like in a very long time. So I think like Oklahoma's set up for success. And as much as I want to troll them and say something, like I think if they're not in the Big 12 title game this year, that's embarrassing. They have to be in there. Yeah. Like their schedule is so easy, and this is the year.
You just put in so much heat on them to do so. We'll say one quick note on the Texas game. I want us, 40 points is a lot. I mean, I shouldn't have. I put that game on I'm sorry, everybody. I'll apologize. I put that on our CBS Sports Pick'em. That was rude of me to put the Texas game. Like, who the hell knows 38.5 points? That's going to be decided by some non-actual, important football players. So that's upsetting. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do that.
I'm taking Texas with that.
38 is so many freaking points. Like, what the hell are you going to do?
Who is UL?
I will say, I want to see outside of Xavier Worthy, like who they're going to try to use as a vertical threat, just because Isaiah Nayor was going to be that guy, right? That was the guy we were talking about as somebody who was a go up and get the football type player downfield. Xavier Worthy can do that. But I think, on a play where, look, he's not that guy, who is the guy that you're going to use downfield? I am curious because Nayor Nayor with the injury now, you have to be a bit more creative or think about some different guys. And we also know that's a really talented receiver room, Robbie, but not the deepest. So they're going to have some guys step up and make sure they can keep guys healthy. So I'm curious to see how much run everybody's going to get from these games.
One player to watch for that I've heard glowing things about. Watch out for tight end Jatavian Sanders. I've heard he's been a beast, like a beast training camp. So watch out for him. We thought Jalil Billingsley would be the top tight end. I think Sanders will be there by the end of the year.
Use both, right? Why not?
Yeah,
use both?
Why not both?
All right, Robbie. It should be so are we going to take Oklahoma to cover? I guess
Yes.
I will. I'm taking OU to cover. What is it, 31.5 now? And then, you took old Texas there too.
I think I went all Big 12. That's bad. Uh-oh.
Wow. You might be a homer. You might be a fan. I don't know. All right, folks, make sure you guys go over to CBS Sports, go to the college football pick'em. Locked On Big 12 is the group. Big 12 is the password. No spaces, no capitals, all together. You can get in the action. It's free to do. You guys can win if you're a top 3 finisher at the end of the year. You get prize packs from Locked On. You must be a subscriber of the channel as well to win. So make sure you guys go do that there. Robbie, thank you so much. Where can people find you?
SiriusXM Big 12 Radio. We do Big 12 today. Josh and I come with fiery takes every single day from 2 to 5 Central. And follow me on Twitter. Sometimes I will post some cool things or graphics from the show or just my own personal takes at the Triano Kid.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at @JoshNeighbors_. Find the show on Twitter at LO Big 12. You guys can get the podcast wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. All right, my friends, till next time, as always, stay safe.